Copenhagen. I'm glad that you're here. I'm so happy to. Your friend? Oh, so you're very experienced.
Thank you so much, dear colleagues, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the City of Copenhagen and C40, it is a very great pleasure that we today announce a new global commitment for C40, namely a global Green New Deal. With the global Green New Deal, we recognize that the world is in a state of climate emergency. The science is clear. Allowing global temperatures to increase more than 1.5 Celsius above pre-industrial levels risk an environmental crisis on a global scale. As mayors, our primary responsibility is to protect the lives and livelihoods for our citizens. Climate change now represents the greatest threat to the security, public health and prosperity. From rising sea levels that threaten coastal communities to once in 100 years heat waves or storms that now strike every 5 years. Cities around the world are on the front line of the global climate emergency. Many young people are anxious to the climate crisis, worried for their future on a planet marked by climate change. That is not fair. And as leaders, we have an obligation to listen and to act. Luckily, there is still time to act, but there isn't a moment to wait. There is no more room for empty promises, no more delay, and no more running from responsibility. We need immediate, decisive, and collective actions, and I'm very happy that Copenhagen is hosting this C40 World Mayors Summit, and I'm very happy to see you all here, my colleagues here and my colleagues here. Cities are central to achieve the Paris Agreement goals, accounting for more than 80% of energy consumption and 75% of global greenhouse gas emissions. C40 has helped more than 100 cities to commit to carbon neutrality by 2050. Around the world, C40 cities are taking bold climate actions, leading the way towards a healthier and more sustainable future, while at the same time improving the well-being of their citizens. In Copenhagen, we want to be the first carbon neutral capital city by 2025. It is ambitious, but we are already coming a long way. Carbon emissions are down more than 40% since 2005. But the goal for this summit is not only to discuss targets. We need to discuss real sustainable solutions, to inspire each other to build an inclusive new ways. And of course, also to steal is legally to steal from each other when it comes to make good ideas and good solutions into your city. And therefore, we are very happy to host this summit because we know that we can learn a lot from each other. And I'm sure if we join force and tackle climate change the right way, we will be able to reduce CO2 emissions, create jobs, and make our citizens more livable. Cities are always being central for innovation, and we transform our economy to tackle climate crisis. It is in cities we have a future for happening and also taking the first step also to reduce carbon emissions. Let us make a sustainable transformation. Let us make it inclusive transformation. Let's make it in a fast one. Thank you very much for joining us for this press conference. And now I will pass the floor to my very good colleague and leader of our C40 network and a great leader, and the Mayor of Paris. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good evening, and thank you for being here. It is my pleasure to be in front of you today in order to speak about Global Green New Deal, in French, Une Nouvelle Alliance Verte. First, I would like to thank you, dear friend, once again, for hosting this summit in Copenhagen, a city that I am sure inspired all participants. This summit represents a landmark in our action in the context of climate emergency. It will give us a great opportunity to move forward on many subjects and show as C40 mayors that solutions do exist and are already implemented to reach the Paris Agreement. Climate emergency is not to demonstrate anymore. The IPCC is clear. We all know the consequences for our planet if we fail to maintain global warming below 1.5 degrees. What we also know is that the most vulnerable today are the ones suffering the most from the climate disaster. Committing to the planet is a social engagement in the sense that ecological and social issues are closely related. Despite what we already know, moving forward on this subject is not easy. I will even say it is a big fight. Because of lobbies and political games, I have been sometimes alone to lead this action in Paris, but backed by the C40 network, by you, dear Eric, Frank, and all my colleagues, mayors here, Fernando, by citizens of Paris, by scientists, by NGOs. That is why the ecological transition must be a collective project and an inclusive one. It should involve and benefit to all citizens. The ecological transition must enable the cities to think in a different way, their organization, their neighborhood, to offer a better quality of life to all citizens. This is how we can define the global Green New Deal, a different way to see the world, to redefine progress, achieving well-being for everyone, and protecting our common resources. It supposes for us to change our paradigm. Our public policies related to climate change must be through from a global vision by getting connected to all the other subjects of our municipality. It should be at the source of job creation, helping minorities, supporting economic development, and making effective changes in personal behavior in the city. This is the ambition of the Green New Deal we are going to discuss in the coming days. It can be seen as a great opportunity to redefine a new economic, social, and ecological pact and gather all the stakeholders from business to association, from civil society to politics, in order to build the future of our cities. My dear friend, Eric Garcetti, and you, and all my colleagues and friends, has been defending this project in Los Angeles, in Copenhagen, in Lisbon, and other cities. And all the C40's mayors are collectively sharing this objective. That is why it is with joy and emotion that I will leave the C40 chairmanship to Eric Garcetti during this summit, to whom I wish all the best by being sure he will succeed in this action. I'm proud and honored of having steered this great organization thanks to all my colleagues of the C40 and Mark, especially for you, for the past 3 years. I know that he feels the same responsibility and that you, Eric, will lead our network and this Green New Deal, this Nouvelle Alliance Verte with determination and even greater ambition. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mary. That To Lord Mayor Jensen, I want to thank you for hosting us in this extraordinary city. We know how much work goes into this, and so to all of the Danes who have put their blood, sweat, and tears into organizing this, thank you. And I think I can speak for all the mayors that Lord Mayor Jensen really sets the bar globally for what is possible in the shortest time possible, and as such is an inspiration for each one of us. And the work that Anne Hidalgo has done as chair has set a global bar for all of us as well. And I know that she certainly will stay active. The best title to have in politics is immediate past chair. It has all the prestige and none of the responsibilities, but she will be really, for so many of us, the inspiration of what bravery, courage looks like. And we love you for what you have given to us. And be here with M.Harwani, to be here with Jamie Margolin, to be here with Steve Cotton and Helen Clarkson, representing this alliance that is more than just mayors, but the cities and the people that live and breathe in them. We know our work is severe and immediate. I am 48 years old, and during my lifetime, 71% of all fossil fuel emissions that have been released by human beings have been released. That's over 1 trillion tons of CO2. And as a result, as my brother and sister mayors said, we are in a climate emergency. We must be clear. It's an emergency unlike any that we have ever faced before, because what is at stake is nothing less than our survival and the survival of successive generations. This emergency demands that we act and that we come together. In Los Angeles, in my city, the City of Angels, we are working every day to try to embody that, to improve our air quality and build a cleaner, greener, more sustainable city. And it's in this spirit that in our city we released Los Angeles' Green New Deal. A new deal to push forward a zero carbon electricity grid, to grow a zero emission transportation network, and buildings that will also be zero carbon, while expanding our recycling of wastewater and stop sending trash to landfills. While we did that, we are also looking and very excited to create thousands of good-paying middle-class jobs. And we're seeing a difference. In the United States of America, Los Angeles is now the #1 solar city. We recently approved the largest solar and battery and electricity generation system in American history at less than the price of gas today. And in a single year, we reduced our emissions by 11% and reduced our unemployment by 14%. And since I've been mayor, we've created 35,000 green jobs in a city of 4 million people. That's nearly 1% of the population. And if Los Angeles is only 1% of the American population, put that in perspective, those 35,000 jobs are the equivalent of 60% of the remaining coal jobs left across America. So that we have proved that far from being in conflict, that working on ecology and the economy go hand in hand. These two things are inextricably linked. In fact, we can build a more sustainable city at the same time that we protect workers and create new careers. As CEO of my city, I've learned that no matter what you do, no matter what we seek to achieve, we can't do that alone. We aren't just looking at our local problems inside the boundaries of our cities, and that's what makes C40 such an extraordinary network. It's why I'm here in Copenhagen with my fellow mayors from America. You might hear a lot of things about America and climate these days, but we represent, in this room, at least 3 of the 425 mayors, Republicans, Democrats, and Independents, who have accepted the Paris Climate Accords and said, even if the White House is out, we are in. We are practical where others are political. And while others are aspirational, mayors have to be actionable. And we don't commute to our jobs, we actually live in the same communities where we work. So while others make promises, we make programs and policies. And now we have, as was mentioned, more than 100 cities committed to C40's deadline 2020 to begin to implement inclusive climate action plans. From Austin to Auckland, cities are taking action and linking growing economic opportunity for everyone and ecological preservation everywhere. We are trying to promote a better life for all of our people. Protecting life is our #1 concern. but we're strengthened by the businesses and the workers and the youth across the world who now can come together to support a global Green New Deal. This will be my priority as incoming chair of C40, to deliver a global Green New Deal in the face of a climate emergency, and to make the 2020s the decade of human action. This will be the defining decade not only of our lives, but of life itself for human beings on this planet. I have no doubt that we can and we will get it right because human beings have this stubborn desire to survive. And the science is clear. And from C40 cities representing megacities to the mayors of small cities, we're going to engage investors and financiers to help us get the urgent capital we need to move our programs more quickly. We're going to work, sometimes follow youth leaders and sometimes work side by side with them to march on the streets or speak in the classrooms. And labor leaders who are seeking to ensure they continue to have a place in our economy. I don't have to tell you what's at stake. The stakes have never been greater, but the solutions have never been clearer, easier, and cheaper as well. And every human being, your families, your cities, your communities, deserve a better future that is healthier and cleaner. We must all be prepared to listen to the science, to adhere to the truth, to act on the facts, and act with the urgency that this moment demands, to deliver a global Green New Deal, to make this the decade of action. And I couldn't be prouder to fight this fight as a member of an incoming chair of this network of mayors of C40. Thank you.
Such an illustrious panel, but the issue is it's such a serious political situation. And I'm here on behalf of the labour movement globally, and we're here because we want to support the leadership of the mayors. We recognise that this issue can be polarising across the whole of society and in the labour movement, but we believe the work of the C40 mayors is providing global leadership where it's missing in some of our national governments. And we want to be there alongside that conversation about how do we deal with the jobs that will be lost as we respond to the Paris MOU, but how do we make sure that working men and women are not scared or intimidated by the change. So for us it's a privilege to be here, to have a conversation. Obviously in my capacity as a transport workers leader, cities are critical. Their success economically depends on fast-moving transportation. The ability to have a constructive dialogue about the changing face of the workplace, and I would put the future of work alongside this very challenging climate situation. But if we want to be, as labour leaders, reflective of society, we have to acknowledge the powerful movement on the street. We have to recognise that our voices have to be inclusive of the vulnerable elements of society. We need to protect young people's opportunities to engage effectively. And we need to make sure that gender equality is included in these issues. Because climate change does impact on some of the more challenged elements of our society. And I believe critically that we can find a collective way to respond to those challenges. We can fine-tune an agreement, hone it for each element to respond to what we need to do, which is to provide global leadership from the city position. So on behalf of the labour movement, it's our real privilege to be here. They've covered all the facts. Ours is an open engagement about how do we make a difference. Make no mistake, it's difficult in the labour side to respond to the changing face of jobs that may be lost. But if we do it with collaboration and integrity, I'm very confident we can build a way that ensures our plan for the future generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now giving the floor to Jenny Marguerite, one of the youth leaders in attendance for the C40 World Mayors Summit. She is the founder of the Zero Harm movement in the United States of America.
Hello, my name is Jamie Margolin. I'm not a mayor or a head of state yet. I'm a 17-year-old. I'm very behind on my college applications, and I'm here because my generation's life depends on it. I'm here because whether the action that you, our leaders, take is going to impact my generation. I'm here on behalf of the young people in the audience who represent the C40 Youth Council, I'm here for the young people on the front lines, those who are putting their lives on the line to stand up for what is right, to stand up for climate justice. I founded an organization called 0 Hour because this is 0 hour to act on the climate crisis. We have no more time, and I've been one of the leaders of the youth mobilizing for climate action. Youth are mobilizing because our lives depend on it. The Green New Deal is for us. The Green New Deal is not just about a specific piece of legislation or about a promise that a politician makes. It's about finally ending the fairy tale. Do you believe in fairy tales? Well, right now, the entire government, all of the world's governments almost, have devoted everything, have sacrificed everything, including the well-being of their children, including life on Earth itself, to sustain a fairy tale. And that fairy tale is eternal economic growth and eternal greed. In the United States, where I come from, it's kind of like a religion, a fanatic religion, where you sacrifice everything, you put everything on the line for something that does not exist. This idea of eternal growth, of taking and taking and taking from the earth with no spending limit and no consideration for any future generations. And with the Green New Deal, it is about not just about making a tweak here and there, not just about maybe changing something here and there. It's about rapidly making a huge system shift. It's about decolonizing, getting to the roots of the climate crisis and the real reason why we're in this mess, which is greed, which is colonialism, which is a lot of what is happening right now with corporations taking advantage of literally everyone else. So with the Green New Deal, with this global Green New Deal, we are calling to an end of sacrificing everything to protect that fairy tale of eternal economic growth and instead putting what really matters first, which is life on Earth and the youth and the future generations. We need to rapidly adopt a new way of life, and in order to do so, we need to unite behind the global Green New Deal. It's about a global shift of values, ideals, and the way we relate to the Earth and one another. Shifting from one of extraction and taking to one of sustainability and growth. And while we have to change our ways of living and consuming and traveling, this is not just about sacrifice. I believe the world we can build can really be something better. The future I believe we can create is equitable, sustainable, and has no place for high school seniors such as myself feeling as much fear and despair as I do for my future on a daily basis. I need you to understand the fear and despair that young people live with on a daily basis. We are constantly asked to plan for our future. Right now, I'm in the middle of college application hell, which means tons of questions like, what are you going to do when you grow up? What do you want to be? What do you imagine for your future? And I'm sitting there trying to type something, trying to come up with something, but the reality is, if we do not take drastic action on the climate crisis now, nothing I plan is going to mean anything because we'll be too busy dodging climate disasters after climate disasters. That is why the mayors and people in power that I'm sitting next to, that's why they're taking action for my future. And we need leaders at all levels of government to get to work. By 2030, we will have known if we have created a political climate that will have allowed us to salvage life on Earth, or if we've acted too late. By then, we must be well down the path towards climate recovery, but this must start today. To give you an idea of how soon 2030 is, by then I still won't be old enough to run for the American presidency. I still won't be old enough. With the global Green New Deal, we are surpassing deniers. We are surpassing people who are stopping us from taking action. This isn't about everybody get on board. We're not going to wait for deniers to come around. We're not going to wait for governments and corporations to get around. We are going to, the cities and people who are willing to take action are going to take action and adopt a Green New Deal now, and everyone else can catch up. People call my generation Generation Z as if we are the last generation. Z is the last letter of the English alphabet, and right now on the current trajectory that we are on, it seems like our generation could be the last one to experience modern society society as we know it. We certainly are the last generation to be able to at least semi-flourish within the fairy tale that we've been given, this fairy tale of greed and eternal economic growth and just taking from the planet. But after that, that fairy tale will no longer be able to be sustained. So that's why we've decided that we're not Generation Z. We refuse to be the last letter of the alphabet. We are Generation GND, the generation of the Green New Deal. And all leaders have two choices. One, join us, adopt a Green New Deal in your community or your constituency, and take action to save your children's futures, or you have a second option, get out.
Good afternoon, all. I'm really honored to be here, given that I'm not a C40 mayor, at least not yet. But yeah, I'm here speaking on behalf of not just my city, but so many other cities and residents and countries who, although they're not major contributors to the causes of climate change, are majorly impacted by the consequences of climate change. Right across the world, our television screens on a daily basis are now reinforcing what the science has said. That extremes in climate are happening, extreme weather conditions are being experienced. Nowhere more severely than on the continent of Africa, where from a combination of droughts in the east to extreme floods in the west of the continent, daily the pressure, the impact, the consequences of climate change are resulting in more and more pressure on people's ability to live. Jamie, it's so good to hear that you're not going to be Generation Z. And for us, for where we're sitting, and as the mayor of a city with 1.2 million people who daily now face climate change and need to also put in place climate adaptation, we're also not prepared to just sit back. That is why I am so thrilled to have this opportunity to join progressive mayors, such as those in C40, to raise our voices and to say this is an emergency. This isn't something we can talk about later. This isn't something that can be dealt with at some other time. This is something which needs to be dealt with now. On the 14th of August, 2 years ago, 2017, in the space of about 12 hours, we had 81.3 millimeters of rain. It resulted in a landslide in which 1,000 people died in 5 minutes. I became mayor just over a year after that, just under a year after that. In May 2018, I became mayor. I contested on a platform which was not about politics per se, because I didn't come from a political space. I came from a space of being deeply concerned about the environment in which we're living and the damage that's being done to it on a daily basis. So within my 1 year and 5 months of being mayor, the mayor of Austin just called me a baby mayor, I like that. Within my 1 year and 5 months of being mayor, we've introduced to the city of Freetown an ambitious program which has at its heart, our response to the challenges of climate change and the need for climate adaptation. It's called #TransformFreetown. And we are making tremendous progress simply because we have chosen to do this, looking at the data, bringing innovation, and most importantly, bringing in collaboration, having partnerships with the public sector, the private sector, and of course with the people. And in our Transform Freetown agenda, to date we have been able to tackle the most serious contributions that we make, small as they might be on the global scale. We also have our own contribution to greenhouse gases. Those two being poor sanitation and poor transport, fossil fuel transport. With sanitation, we've set ourselves a target of moving from a situation where in my city, only 6% of liquid waste and 21% of solid waste was being collected. And what was collected was going into dump sites, which two dump sites, 30 and 40 years old respectively, literally belching methane. That was our contribution. We have brought into place an expansive program which goes end to end, from behavior change involving communities participating in the cleanest zone competition, through to improvements on collection, and most significantly, from the perspective of climate change, making sure that all our residents have access to waste collection services by putting in place an app called findmeinfreetown.com, which links users to service providers. And now we are converting one of those dump sites into an engineered landfill and closing down the other and reopening a new space, which will be a waste park as well as wastewater treatment and the landfill. And this is all about scale and relative. I heard Mayor Gassetti say they're moving away from landfills. It'd be good to have a landfill. It'd be good to have a landfill which is designed to be sustainable and builds in recycling, and which is 100 million light years away from just an open dump site. And in the area of transport, we have very significant challenges, shall I say, with the road network. So rather than trying to deal with that and introduce what would be, in many cases, an obvious when it comes to mass transit, a bus rapid transit system, we're actually going up, and we're bringing cable cars, which removes 6,000 people in an hour, removing from the streets the collection of old taxis and tuk-tuks and what we call porta-portas, they're the little minivans, none of which are probably younger than about 20 years old. And as you see them going along and you see the black smoke coming out, you know that our air pollution problem is just getting worse. So we're dealing with very challenging situations, but that's in terms of our contribution to reducing greenhouse gases. But as I mentioned, we're on the brunt, we're experiencing the consequences of the climate change which is happening because of what's going on in the rest of the world. And even though so many of these mayors and so many of you are doing such a great job in terms of trying to reduce the rate of the greenhouse emissions and ultimately to getting to zero carbon, for the immediate future, we still need to adapt because that climate change impact is still being felt. Just 8 weeks ago, on the 2nd of August, we had another extreme occurrence where in the space of 3 hours, we had 176 millimeters of rainfall. I was in the city, we actually had the Swiss Development Corporation as guests, and as we drove along, we just saw everything floating. That day, we saw firsthand why the work that we're doing is so important. We didn't lose 1,000 lives on the 2nd of August this year. We lost 5, and those 5 still matter. But we also saw that the work that we started to do with flood mitigation since I came into office made a tremendous difference. So the waters came, but the waters receded in a shorter space of time. That is why we're investing in stormwater drainage around the city. That is why we're replanting trees. And this last rainy season, we took baby steps. In the space of 6 weeks, we planted 23,000 trees. And we're committed next year to planting 1 million trees in Freetown. It's hashtag Transform Freetown, Freetown Treetown. And also as important is moving vulnerable communities out of hazard-prone areas. The coastal erosion that we're seeing, the rising sea levels, all put people's lives at risk. None of what we've achieved would have been possible without partnerships. And as the global Green New Deal is being put on the table and promoted by C40 cities, I'd like to say that in Freetown and in many other cities around the world, in particular on our continent, we see the need for this because we need to divert resources away from the things that are destroying our planet towards those things: job creation, infrastructure, adaptive technologies that will enable those most affected and most vulnerable, who's not just their long-term futures, but actually their today and their absolute tomorrow is now at risk because of climate change. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'm looking forward to building these partnerships in the coming days and months. I do believe this is an emergency. I know that most people in this room believe it too. I also believe that we can do something to save the situation and to save our planet. The future we want is in our hands. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we are now giving the floor to Helen Clarkson, the CEO of the Climate Group.
Thank you. Thanks very much for inviting us. The Climate Group really welcomes this initiative from the C40 Mayors. It's exactly the sort of approach that we need to see to deliver a world where we limit warming to 1.5 degrees C with greater prosperity for all. For the Climate Group, we work with over 300 multinational businesses. They make commitments around renewable electricity, electric vehicles, doubling energy productivity, so the RE100, EV100, EP100 campaigns. And through that work, what we see is that when you set these ambitious targets, it unleashes innovation and starts to lead people to hit their targets sooner and believe that they can do more. So it's a real accelerant for action. We also work with 200 states and regions through the W2 Coalition, which was set up in the run-up to Paris with this fear that there wouldn't be an agreement and that they needed to take action. So through these sorts of approaches, we've seen how driven businesses, states and regions and cities are, and how this can really support where intergovernmental processes aren't delivering the level of ambitions that we'd like and that we need. And so we all need to press forward together with this work, both to continue to deliver action, but also to show national governments that there is leadership in the real economy and support them to do more and go further. We've heard a lot today about the IPCC report that came out last year. It made such a clear case that we have to limit warming to 1.5 degrees C. We have to put every effort that we can in towards that goal. And in order to do that, we've got to halve emissions in the next decade. And most of the work needs to be done in the next few years because we know these sorts of cuts take a while to take effect. It's why at the Climate Group, we're referring to the 2020s as the climate decade, because we believe that it has to be the primary goal of the world in the next 10 years to get emissions down while ensuring prosperity and managing a just transition. This means a profound shift in the way that we live, the way we do business, and the shape of our cities. And it's a profound change the world hasn't seen to this scale before. The nearest we've seen is the rebuilding that came after World War II, but that was in response to something that had happened. This is about working towards a common goal. When President Roosevelt launched the original New Deal at the end of the Depression, it triggered businesses to unleash innovation and to pull the US out of that depression. It's exactly the same sort of approach we need to see now. We need to trigger innovation and market shifts in order to meet this challenge of the climate decade. We know, and we've seen, that businesses are finding opportunities in this low carbon transition, but we need to do much more, we need to go much further, and we really support and welcome the ambition and foresight of C40 Mayors and initiatives today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are running a little bit out of time, so we'll take very quickly 2 quick questions.
Future tech, do you think is the best for creating the future we want? Would it be zero footprint houses, electric buses, flying cars, artificial intelligence? Can you mention some specifics that you would like to try out?
Thank you for that question. in Copenhagen, we know what works and what doesn't when it comes to transform your city to be green and reduce carbon emissions, because we have already cut down emissions to 40% since 2005. And that's because of our very efficient district heating system. 99% of all households in Copenhagen are linked to district heating. Now we're also introducing district cooling, where we can take the cold water from the harbor and distribute the cold in the pipes beside the district heating pipe. So we can reduce electricity for cooling down buildings and server rooms in the factories is 70%. We have bicycle lanes, 435 kilometers of bicycle lanes. We have a portfolio of many solutions, and we share them with our colleagues in other cities. So we know what works. We have the technology, we have the solutions. We just have to act for the young people also.
I'd also like to add, it's not one specific technology that is going to save us. It's a huge combination of them, but it's also about accessibility. A lot of what the Green New Deal is about accessibility and addressing that the climate crisis impacts the most vulnerable communities the most. So anyone who is at the receiving end of the system of oppression, whether that be racism, sexism, any sort of colonialism, etc., all of the isms, is going to feel the worst effects of the climate crisis. And this isn't an accident. The climate crisis, the way it played out, is not an accident. The way corporations will specifically target communities of color and low-income communities is not an accident. So this mass death and sickness of our planet and our people is happening exactly the way those who created it wanted it to happen, and hurting those who wanted it to happen. So when it comes to these technologies, and what the Global Green New Deal, what it encompasses, is also about making these technologies accessible to people, and especially catering them towards different communities. There is no one-all overlaying solution or technology that is going to work for every community. It's about which technologies work for which communities, and how do we make sure that everyone has access to them, including the most vulnerable.
Hi, in regards to you say that Mayo can make promises and make program. For instance, here in Copenhagen, you have cut emission very hardly, like 40% in 10 years, and you have the objective to be natural into 2025, right? Question for you and Danilo. Do you share the same objective? Is it possible to be natural in Paris in 2025? Maybe 10 questions for Eric Garcia and for Mayo.
Yes, of course. For me, Copenhagen is an example, because Copenhagen starts, for example, in the mobility with the target about bicycle in 1990. We started a few years ago in Paris, but today this example is very interesting for us, because the work of Copenhagen is very useful for me, and we can accelerate our solutions. When you have many examples in other cities, and you can share the solution, you can accelerate. And for me, yes, it's possible. When we work in Paris, in France, about air pollution, when we work about energy, about waste, about circular economy, we bring all the examples of another city in all continents, and we can accelerate because the solutions are here. You need to make the translation, because our context, the context of our cities are very different. But if you say that it's very efficient in this city, you know that you can do the same in your city and accelerate this story. And maybe in your question, I think it's not just about technology. We need technology, and the new technology, the great technology help us. But we need commitment. We need commitment with citizens. It's very, very important. And we need commitment with journalists. And we need commitment with entrepreneurs. We need commitment That is this new Green New Deal, this in French, this Nouvelle Alliance Verte.
I'd also like to challenge the idea of the question of whether something is possible, because coming from my generation as a young person inheriting this problem but not actually having any of the political power or physical ability to be in these positions of power to actually reverse it. I've had lots of conversations with politicians where young people will be challenging politicians and saying, please, can you do this for our lives, for our futures? We literally don't have time. And their response is, well, it isn't possible by this deadline. It isn't possible. And it's like a slap in the face, because it's not a matter of whether you think something is possible. We don't get to decide these things. There's the scientific limit of what the carbon levels that we have to get down to by a certain time in order to survive. And that survival is of my generation, and a leader cannot look their kid in the eye and say, well, I don't know, it's just not possible. We have to be willing to do what we previously considered impossible. We have to be willing to set these impossible standards for ourselves in order to solve this issue. And because what's politically possible, I mean, technically we haven't even invented the politics that will be able to transition our society into this entirely new world. People would, with this massive climate crisis, a lot of the solutions and a lot of the shifts that have to happen are going to be perceived as impossible. And only looking back on it will we say, like, wow, we did that. But what has to happen is literally our leaders need to do absolutely anything they can in order to be able to look their children in the eye and say, I did absolutely everything I could for you. I'd say absolutely anything is possible, and it has to be. I'd say also for the leaders sitting next to me, a lot of people are wondering, how do you know if it's enough? The action that you're taking is enough. How do you know what's the measurement? And I have an easy test or way of measuring if you know what you are doing about the climate crisis is enough. If you can look your child in the eye and say, honey, I did literally absolutely everything I could for you. There is no stone I left unturned. There is absolutely, I have exhausted every option, every last brain cell, every last part of my being in order to solve this crisis, then you're doing enough. If you can't say that, if you can't look them in the eye and say there's nothing I haven't tried, then it's not enough. So survival has to be possible, and the solutions for that have to be possible or made possible if they seem impossible.
Thank you very much. We are going to give the last words to the new C40 chair, Mayor YvonneAki-Sawyer, before having a picture for the opportunity.
I'm going to save my time to time.
But I'm going to give it back to him. It was just so we can answer your question from all of the cities. And for us, I would say that carbon neutral by 2025 is simply not going to be possible. We're committing to 2030. And that's because we're starting from a very low base, but we're on the trajectory. By God's grace, we'll get there.
Yes, so I'll answer the question, I guess, conclude. Copenhagen will be the bar. I meant that. So the simple answer is no by 2025. What Jimmy was saying, here's my advice to every political leader around the world, is to every year make the most aggressive estimate that you can for carbon neutrality, with the caveat to look that child or that activist or that business leader or that labor leader or resident in the eye and say, next year, I will look at that and see if I can reduce that further. Because things are changing so quickly. What I said was unimaginable. What is possible? It wasn't possible to get solar power for less than gas just a couple years ago, maybe even last year. And now it is in California. It wasn't possible to think about it.
say a great thank you to Anna. Anna, time has come to say a great thank you to you for your great leadership of C40. You have been such an inspiring leader for us in the C40 Club. You have reinvented the cities into the climate. You have organized women, the Organization for Women and for Climate. You have done so much. And when you were leader of the C40 in Paris, we have the UN Convention COP21. You set an agenda, and now cities are recognized in the UN for protecting the climate and for making a better world. So thank you so much for your great leadership, and I think I go Paris. I have to say congratulations to our new chair, the mayor from Los Angeles, YvonneAki-Sawyer. We have known you for many years. You have been a great leader of your city in Los Angeles and also a very close colleague for us in the steering committee in C40. We look forward to your great leadership of us as a chair. We have so much to do together. We have so more action we are going to do together. So you have brought a lot of youngsters with you from Los Angeles and Cities of Angels. And we look forward to see all the youngsters also in Los Angeles supporting your mayor to be a great leader of Los Angeles and of C40. Thank you so much for taking the leadership for us. And thank you to all of you for coming to Copenhagen. We look forward to the coming days, and we look forward to all the discussions, all the talks, but most of all, we look forward when you go back inspired to make new actions for climate and climate change. Thank you so much, all of you, to the press. Thank you for coming and joining us for this press conference. Thank you so much.